Um, I know everyone wants to know, how did Trump do? What happened with Trump? What was the whole thing with Trump? Did he um, do anything, you know, very, very entertaining and stuff, right? I mean, you know, um, now we've made him our jester. And so if he doesn't entertain us now, we're going to become like the spoiled peanut gallery. And it's like, hey, man, we want to see a show. So Trump was not a total clown or, insult flinger. I mean, compared to like his first debate, of course, a lot of that was caused by Megyn Kelly asking very unprofessional questions. Bringing Rosie O'Donnell into the equation. And this time around, Trump came off a much more like, one of these squares. Much more like an ordinary man of the campaign trail. But I think we are now experiencing something in the sort of getting to know you process with Trump. It felt to me like tonight we peeled back another layer, and kind of actually scratched through to, what's really inside that onion besides, caviar. And part of that discovery was that Trump maybe doesn't have that much actually planned out for when he is president. You know that old expression, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. Take it from this guy. I think Trump might be bullshitting on some of this stuff. I just say that in the context of, I think what was one of the themes of this second debate, not only concerning Trump, concerning all the candidates, but with Trump in particular, we saw a lot of things that he said and learned how he stacked up on a fair amount of issues in ways that could only be described as vague. I mean, like, especially vague. Now, just to give you an idea of what I referenced to earlier about Trump being vague, just to give you an idea, I thought one of his answers was notable. Okay, just listen to this, right? The question is, Mr. Trump, you say you can do business with President Vladimir Putin. You say you will get along, quote, very well. What would you do right now if you were president to get the Russians out of Syria? A specific question. The Russians are now in Syria. How do we get them out? It's really one of the most, basic, questions rooted in reality. It has to do with spatial things, physical things, right? You can just describe how an object is relocated or various objects, No nuance required. Just listen for the number of times that Donald uses a certain phrase. I guess it's simple. But is it too vague? And the phrase that he uses, is it adequate for the voter to... Anyways, he says, I would talk to him. I would get along with him. I believe, and I may be wrong, in which case I'd probably have to take a different path. But I would get along with a lot of the world leaders that this country is not getting along with. We don't get along with China. We don't get along with the heads of Mexico. We don't get along with anybody. And yet at the same time, they rip us left and right. They take advantage of us economically and every other way. We get along with nobody. I will get along, I think, with Putin, and I will get along with others. And we will have a much more stable world. Now, it's like I already knew that Trump was a get-along guy. He's very charismatic. And, he's charmed his way and dealt his way into billions. So, I think that's like what getting along means. Everyone has their own definitions. Like siblings get along in their own specific way, and like... Oh yeah, so that's the answer, by the way. Is he said get along 9 times. And I guess the only other context he gives, well, he says he would talk to him. And of course we know he would talk to Putin in a way that they would be getting along. Maybe both doing some shirtless horseback riding. And the only other context we get is that if he was wrong, then he would probably have to take a different path. So we don't know what that path is. And we don't know what Donald and Vladimir getting along would look like. And we don't know how he plans, through at least talking, to get along with them. So, I think at this point, like when you're dating somebody, you just want to try and get to know, what's really, what this person is about, right? There's a question of, where's this going? What are your intentions? Are you going to screw me over in the long run? And like, how long can I go where I just take your word for it? Or, whatever. But maybe we're getting to this point with Trump now where people, they want to know, they want to paint a specific picture of a Trump, not just an abstract. And he did say, he's going to be releasing his tax plan in a couple weeks, announcing some key, like foreign policy advisors and stuff. But Donald has really said surprisingly little about why his skills, pay so many bills. He just insists that they do, and they will, and they should, and they shall. So I don't know, maybe the trance will last. So Jake Tapper says, so just to clarify, the only answer I heard to the question I asked is that you would reach out to Vladimir Putin and you would do what? No, Jake Tapper. He didn't say he was going to reach out. That would be more specific than getting along. So he didn't even go that far. And Trump, of course, says, I believe that I will get along. We will do between that, Ukraine, all the other problems, we won't have the kind of problems that a country has right now with Russia and so many other nations. Oh, well, reassuring. So put another way, why worry about how Trump will get along with somebody if the problem that you had in the first place, you no longer even have? No need to worry about the getting along because you no longer have that problem or that kind of problem. So it's a whole category of problems has been wiped out. So everybody's sleeping good at night.